Hi there, it's Chris Hamilton here with bookkeepingautomation.com, and we're on to tip 23 of the bookkeeping and accounting marketing tips. And tip 23 is how to market a CRA audit and be 7 times more profitable. So before we go into this, this is geared towards a Canadian audience since we are based in Canada, CRA being the Canadian Revenue Agency. I'm sure this is very similar, though, that you have clients that end up with audits, and this is a great way, if you're from outside of Canada, this is a great way to look into this sort of stuff. So first of all, CRA audits are increasing on an ever-frequent basis now. They can be one of your most profitable parts of your practice, but most people, they're missing a process and the way to get clients. So the process to make them more profitable and also a way to bring more clients in the door. So we're going to go through that today. So in the 2016 federal budget, there's almost $500 million over the next 5 years in Canada that's being allotted to increasing the amount of audits for tax avoidance and evasion. And also the CRA, the Canadian Revenue Agency, predicts it'll bring in an additional $2.6 billion in revenue over those next 5 years, or $500 million a year. So the other thing that is looking in the favor of looking at doing audits is also that penalties were up tenfold from 2012 to 2015, from basically $60 million to about $500 million. So there's a huge increase that's gone on with this. So what I want to do, I was just going to a quick case study. We were working with a physiotherapist in the Whitehorse area, brought in by an accounting firm that had to do audits over a 2-year period. So what we did is we pulled in 2 years worth of bank statements and actually credit card statements too. There was 2,800 line items. We were able to reconcile this in QuickBooks Online in 28 hours. Now, probably would have been faster, but we had our technical guy, who's also a bookkeeper, do this and reconcile it. Had he known who the client was and their nuances and a whole bunch of different things, probably would have got it done a lot quicker, like somewhere in probably the vicinity of about 20 hours. But anyways, this firm said that it would take them normally 60 to 90 hours to get this done. So as you can see, we're doing these in about half the time to a third of the time, just getting this information compiled for an audit. So the other thing that's really interesting when you think about this is, if you can get it done in 20 hours or so for something of the magnitude of this, you have a full month in which to get back to the CRA with all this data. So this gives you, if you do it in 20 hours, this gives you 3.5 weeks of prep time to get all this information together for the CRA. So no more stressing and cutting it close to the wire. So what we did is basically we took the credit card bank statements, we extracted that stuff, put it into our system, brought out in a line item. Once we were in there, thank goodness that people are creatures of habits. They were going to the same places over and over again. So in this case, they were going to an Esso gas station a lot of the times for their gas. We were able to sort by that vendor. And when we sorted by that vendor, we were able to apply the GL code for that. And then we auto-remembered it so that if it ever happens in the future, we'll be able to see an SO receipt and apply the same rules, same GL, same splits, anything like that. It'll bring all that information in. So let's take a look at it this way. Let's say there's 2,800 line items. So they said between 60 hours and 90 hours. Let's split it down the middle. Say it's 75 hours. Now, basically, if they're charging out $100 an hour, you're talking about $7,500 in revenue coming in the door. And, your margins maybe 30%, 25% on something like that. Now what happens is you're basically doing this in, let's say, 28 hours. Effectively, you've increased that hourly rate if you charge out at $7,500 to $267.86 per hour. The other thing that's nice about this is that, if you're doing 60 to 90 hours, let's just use 90 hours, or let's use 100 or 75 hours. You could really only squeeze a couple of these in a month. If you're doing 20 to 28 hours, you could probably fit 5 of these in a month. Now, that at $7,500, if that's the revenue that you're getting just from this side of it, not the interfacing with the CRA, is $37,500 a monthly recurring or monthly revenue, or basically just shy of $500,000 in revenue just for changing the way you take a look at things. So here's one of the things we say, better yet, hire someone to do the grunt work. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but it's the admin work, which is, our stuff has to get scanned, it has to get put in the system. Then what happens, it has to be coded a proper way. Hire someone that will do that for you, and you spend the time marketing your services. What we've seen in Canada is that The average cost of a bookkeeper is on average about $19 an hour across Canada. So at 28 hours, basically that's it's going to cost $532 as a cost that's associated with this. Yet when you take a look at the $7,500 that you're charging out, your profitability all of a sudden goes up to almost $7,000 per engagement. So that's the interesting thing. You take a look and you leverage a program like bookkeeping automation to change the way that you're doing things, doing it more effectively and efficiently, and driving more business. Now, you got more time on your plate. You're going to have to market this service. So here's 5 tips that you can use on how to market this service. First of all, I'm based in Calgary. We're looking at Calgary and CRA Audit. Brought up 10,800 results. And most of these results, first 2 are guys that help with audits. Then what happens, it goes into Gowlings, which is a law firm talking about audit flags. And then you've got something actually from the Canadian Revenue Agency below that, and then something from the Globe and Mail. What this is telling me, it's not overly competitive space. So there's ways that you can use this to your advantage. So first thing I would do, talk to law firms. Apart from an accountant or a bookkeeper, the next person someone would talk to is probably their lawyer to figure out how or where they should be going on this stuff. So take a look and see if you can find any law firms that you know of where you can get ins, or figure out if there's a tax lawyer that you might be able to talk to. Next one is write blog posts. If you put information in on a blog post on CRA Audit or a Canadian Revenue Agency Audit or anything like that, you're going to get found online, especially if you put your city or your location in that you work after. You'll get found. The other thing too, write pages on your website. Put services on there. So KD Professional Services, who, by the way, showed up number 1 on the Google search results, did a great job with this, where they've got CRA or they've got audits and they've got a whole bunch of different things that are in here. So they are getting found, and they get a big chunk of business just from doing something like this. You can also do YouTube videos. I searched YouTube. There was literally 1,940 results on Calgary CRA Audit. Interestingly enough, though, there was only 2 videos on there from a Calgary firm, the top 2 here. The rest of them were like from the CRA, firms from Toronto, a whole bunch of different things. A lot of mixed results in this as well. So there's a lot of opportunity to create some videos, poke them up, and get found. Now, here's the other thing. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, right after Google, and Google owns YouTube. So it's a great way to maybe increase your chances of getting found. One of the things, though, if you are doing videos, what I would suggest is use a Chrome plugin called vidIQ, which will help you get the right keywords and get things up and have, basically make your video more findable online as well. And the last one I'm going to go into is leveraging LinkedIn. So, for example, if you go into the advanced people search on LinkedIn, which is across the top bar beside the search bar, it says advanced, click on that, brings this up. You put certain search parameters in here, and then what happens is it'll bring results up. So in this case, it brought back 357 lawyers in the legal practice or law practice or legal services in Calgary that have tax somewhere in their profile. And in this case, let's take a look at this Roy Berg, who's the first guy here. If I click on the 91 shared connections underneath Roy's name here, it brings up the first 3 people that it thinks would be the best way for me to get in. And I could leverage all 3 of these people to get in. But if I didn't know, I could click on that 91 shared connections and it'll bring up all the connections. And in this case, Lindsay, who's the first person, I'd reach out to Lindsay and say, Lindsay, I see you're connected to Roy. Anyway, you can introduce me. Here's what I do. Here's the service I provide. Here's the benefit to their clients. Would love to see if Roy has this problem. Here's something that you can use to make that introduction, and just write that introduction letter for Lindsay to send into him, and they'll do that for you. So, by the way, if you want to try a free 30-day trial of our software, go to bookkeepingautomation.com. When you go there, there's a little button on our main page that says free trial. Click on that. If you're a bookkeeper and accountant, click the bookkeeper or accounting option. If you're a corporate end user that isn't a bookkeeper or an accountant, or you're just a potential corporate client, pick business and then just sign up, and we'll get in touch with you and get you going on that as well. So stay tuned. We got more tips and tricks coming through to you in the future as well.